Alright guys, I got several more of these problems here where I give you the graph of a rational function and I ask you to give me the domain and the range. Let's jump right into this by finding first the asymptotes. I take a look at this guy and I recognize, it looks like I got a vertical asymptote right there. They should jump out at you. They're going to be pretty easy to spot. There's my vertical asymptote, and I take a quick look at this guy. Yeah, now look at that. That horizontal asymptote's going to run right through there. Okay, now let's venture a couple of guesses. Remember, we saw up above, when x was a positive 3, I had a vertical asymptote, and there was a negative 3 in my function. Well, my vertical asymptote is at -1, is at a -2. If this holds true, since my vertical asymptote is at -2, I'll bet my h is a positive 2, and look at that, there's a positive 2 in my function right there, and h is equal to 2, right? Remember, if h is 2, your vertical asymptote will shift to the left. It'll move in the negative direction. What about k? Well, my horizontal asymptote is down here at y equals -1. Do I have a -1 anywhere in my function? I sure do. It's right there. So here's what that tells me. I'm getting a pretty good feeling here that h is going to be down in the denominator with the x. And k, as always, will be tacked on plus or minus some number on the back of the function. I'm getting a pretty good feeling. I don't know. We'll see if that trend holds true. I will find out. Anyway, there's my vertical asymptote. There's my horizontal asymptote. Let's write the domain and the range. So domain, we read left to right. Left is -infinity. -infinity, and the only thing that is not allowed is the vertical asymptote, which occurs at x equals -2. So -2 union -2 to infinity. What this tells me is the domain is all real numbers, -infinity to positive infinity. Everybody is allowed except -2. And you use parentheses to tell me that -2 is not included. How do you know it's -2? Because that's where your vertical asymptote is at. That's the undefined value. All right, the range. Well, that's the horizontal. Again, we read top to bottom. Top of the graph is positive infinity. So positive infinity all the way down to my horizontal asymptote, which is the only excluded value. Well, my horizontal asymptote is at -1. So I can pick any value, any range value is allowed except for -1, and you tell me that by putting a parenthesis on -1. But anything below -1 is also allowed, so -1 to -infinity. Again, this tells me my range is all real numbers, positive to -infinity, excluding -1. Why -1? That's where the horizontal asymptote is at. Great. I think I'm seeing a pattern here. Let's try a couple more just to make sure. Again, at this point, you should be real good at spotting vertical and horizontal asymptotes. Looks like right there is my vertical, and right there is my horizontal. All right, careful reading this graph. Please notice that my vertical asymptote falls right between, well, the scale on this one has been changed, right? Please notice that that is a 4, which means the one before it has to be a 2, so I'm right between 2 and 4, so it's going to be at x equals 3. So my vertical asymptote is at x equals 3. Please be careful reading these graphs. Again, same thing down here. That's -4. That means the one above it has to be a -2 since it would split it in half. So y equals -2. Now again, remember, we're testing a hypothesis here. If x -3, or if x positive 3 is my vertical asymptote, and the vertical asymptote is represented by h, since it's at a positive 3, I'm guessing that there would be a -3 in my function. Look at that. Ooh, I'm feeling good about this. So I get h of minus 3. Since h is the opposite, if h were a minus 3, I'd have to go to positive 3 to get my vertical asymptote. What about the k? Well, I take a look at this guy, and my horizontal asymptote is at negative 2. Well, if it's at negative 2 and k is the horizontal asymptote, maybe I have a negative 2 somewhere in my function. Look at that, I sure do. Right there, negative 2. Man, feeling good about this. All right, so domain, range. Domain is going to be everything except vertical asymptote, and my vertical asymptote is at 3. We read left to right, so negative infinity to 3, union 3 to infinity, and the range top to bottom, infinity to negative 2, union negative 2 to negative infinity. Sorry about that, I had to squeeze over there. I got one more for you. At this point, I think you guys are probably flying through these. My vertical asymptote, careful, they changed the scale on you on this one as well. And then right through, right through here. Careful, they've changed the scale on this one as well. So, since that's a minus 4, that means that's a negative 2. I'm halfway between negative 2 and 0, so that's got to be x equals negative 1. Let's see here. Yep, that's a minus 4. I'm half a unit above that, so minus 4, I apologize. That's a positive 4. I'm halfway above that, so that would have to be, 5, y equals 5. Now again, I'm testing out that hypothesis here. Let's check this. All right, so if I have a vertical asymptote at negative 1, maybe I have a positive 1 in my function. Look at that. I do. And since my horizontal asymptote is at a positive 5, maybe I have a positive 5 in my function. I do. All right, so at this point, I'm feeling really good about this. I'm pretty sure I know now where my h is, and I'm pretty sure I know where to find my k. Domain and range. All right, domain, again, we read left to right. Negative infinity all the way up to negative 1, union, negative 1 to positive infinity. The range, top to bottom, that's going to be positive infinity. Sorry, my infinities are looking a little weird. To 5, union 5 to negative infinity. Again, these just simply tell you it's all real numbers, negative infinity to positive infinity, except for negative 1, because that's where the vertical asymptote is. And the range is all real numbers, positive infinity to negative infinity, except for a positive 5, because that's where the horizontal asymptote is. All right, guys, hopefully that makes a lot of sense. If I give you the graph, you need to be able to find the vertical and the horizontal asymptotes, as well as then describe for me the h and the k value, and give me the domain and the range. Head on over to the next page of the notes, and what we'll do is I will now give you the function and ask you to graph it for me. I'll meet you there.